And we are live here at IY6C Covered and Krispy Kreme sponsored video with X-String and Elfster's Rifles and Reloading.
Hey, Ray, is it legal and okay to show Krispy Kremes on a live broadcast on YouTube?
I think it is. I think
How
it
many
is.
donuts are in there?
Either that or we're breaking the law.
Is it less than 10? Is it less than 10 donuts in there?
Yeah, there's got to be some.
Yes,
YouTube.
there's less. That's one box of 3 dozen.
Yeah, you're breaking some YouTube rule, I'm sure.
Oh man.
The other box actually has the ones that make you feel yucky. They have all the cream puff filling and everything else in it.
Oh man.
And you're still sprinkling those with Varget pieces, right?
Yeah, well, CFE, with it being a spherical powder, kind of goes down a little easier. I don't like extruded powders.
It's got a peppery taste to it. It tastes pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like pepper.
So
I beat my dog gunpowder. It makes them meaner.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Meaner.
Well, I'm sorry I missed your guys' RPR chat last night. I mean, like, the second I figured you guys were live, of course, it's at the tail end of it. And oh, well.
Yeah, you were hit us right when we were basically saying goodbye last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right at the end.
But you guys inspired me. I went out to the range today and busted out the RPR 22 and the Ruger Mark IV 22. Got the Know Your Limits target out, and I shot the Mark IV at 20 yards, and I shot the RPR 22 at 50 and 100 yards. So I got video of it too. So I should probably have that uploaded, I'm guessing, I don't know, tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
One thing I did learn that I need to clean and maintain my firearms because I got a couple jams.
Uh-oh.
Oh well.
It's a 22.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have those with the 22.
Yeah, once in a while. You can't be X-ring amazing all the time.
I do keep my guns clean. You can ask Rick that. I do maintain them.
Yeah, you do.
Well,
yeah, you do. Other than
I talked to KB32 today, and he said he's just going to start dropping his guns off so that I'll for review, so that they'll come back clean.
That's about the only way they're going to get clean, I think.
What's up, Jackson? Levi 45.
I've seen a few of those guns, and they are filthy. But at least he's out shooting. That's good.
That's it.
Look at that. We got TB Jackson, Levi's 45 so far. Actually, there's quite a few more.
So it sounds like you guys are pretty happy with those RPRs, huh?
I am.
That is an understatement.
Yeah. Where'd you guys get them? 2
different places. I bought mine. I always want to call it the Great Outdoors. But
yeah.
Outdoor. What is it called? I don't even remember. What
Sportsman's Outdoors, I believe.
Outdoors, yeah.
Yeah. 45 Auto has a comment. He said, Ray told us yesterday you don't have to clean your guns, sorta. No, you do have to clean the actions, but on a 22, as far as the bore maintenance, and maybe we can get Todd to chime in on this, but I learned a lot from guys that were shooting the silhouette shooting, and it's not the same regimen that you would think for a precision rifle long range. What I was told is minimal cleaning on 22 long rifle until you see that accuracy deteriorate or you've had problems chambering. Otherwise, you really don't want to be cleaning that thing out all the time.
Yeah, 100%. Matter of fact, you guys are going to see that in the video I shot today. I should have it up tomorrow. And 100%. Matter of fact, that goes across the entire spectrum of my firearms. I don't clean the rifle's bores until they tell me that they need to be cleaned. I'm a huge, firm believer in regards to copper and carbon fouling improves accuracy, and especially like X-Ring mentioned, when it comes to the 22 LR. You definitely want to make sure that you're not cleaning those rifle bores. That copper and carbon fouling fills in those little imperfections in the rifling, if you got any little pits or anything. And with that said, in today's video, I actually had to run a bore snake down my 22 RPR because the accuracy was just falling off. Something terrible.
Yeah.
So and it's amazing. I ran a bore snake with G96 3 times down the bore, and the groups instantly shrunk back down. And I bet I've shot 700 rounds through that bore without even touching it. So it's
Yeah.
it really needs to be scrubbed down and refouled out for sure. So
Here's a comment. And then it probably depends on how much you shoot, but I'll put it up there.
it really depends on the ammo too. All
Yeah.
ammo is a little bit different, especially what kind of coatings they're putting on the bullets. And you'll notice that between different types of ammunition. And some, and every barrel is different. A barrel is like a fingerprint, and you can get you could have an entire rack of RPR 22 LR rifles straight off the assembly line, and each one will completely shoot different. And like I said, each bore's rifling is completely different. And one might like to shoot Ely, one might like to shoot Ultra Match. It's just, you just got to test it and see what it likes to eat. That's about it.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say, and a lot of this Warsaw Patriot came from back in the day when you were shooting, Garands and everything else. If you got a hold of some surplus ammo that had corrosive primers, that would pit your bore, in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially us living down here in the South where we've got high humidity and everything else. If anybody's ever watched any of my cleaning videos, especially on the precision rifle or any of that, I said I don't clean the bore before I'm going to shoot a match or anything like that, or I foul it, but then I leave it fouled. If I'm not going to shoot it for a month, then I will clean it out again, because yes, the carbon will attract moisture and that will create rust within your barrel. So
100%.
Not saying I don't maintain them, but pushing a wet patch of solvent is a lot different than taking Vortec or hop or like sweets or something and stripping the barrel all the way down to the bare metal and removing the copper. So
yeah, and also if you don't shoot that firearm within, like X-Ring mentioned, a month or more, and you do clean it, and then you do run a patch of oil down that bore, you better make sure you run a dry patch down that bore before you shoot it, because if there's any oil left in that bore, you can get what's called oil hydraulic pitting inside the rifling and inside the bore. And if there's a drop of oil in there and that bullet runs down that rifle's bore at roughly 2,500 to 3,000 feet per second, depending on what you're shooting, it will actually put hydraulic dimples into the metal. And I've talked to the guys, the gunsmith at Krieger, and they showed me examples of that using a bore scope. And you really got to make sure that bore doesn't have an excess amount of oil in it. It's really important.
Yeah, exactly. Just think of it as kind of like hydrolocking something. You're not going to compress that water, and you're putting that tension straight into the barrel with the lands and grooves with that bullet going over it. And if there's enough residue in there, that can actually cause pitting and soft spots in the barrel.
Yeah, definitely. So you want to make sure if you put a oil patch in there for storage, that you run a dry patch in there before you throw any types of rounds in there, because you're talking 50,000 psi at the chamber, and that is going right down that rifle's bore, and it will cause hydraulic pitting in your rifle's bore, and it's not good for the rifling.
Yeah, this is a good conversation,
Well,
Todd. I don't think we've
then.
ever differed on opinions on a lot of this long range stuff. We've always pretty much had the same mindset on everything.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I don't clean any of my rifle's bores until it tells me that it needs to be cleaned. And every rifle's bore is completely different. And, I don't know how you feel about this, actually, but I can usually tell when I get a new firearm if it's going to be difficult within 100 rounds.
Yes.
What I really want is a rifle's bore that can be shot foul. If I get a firearm and I shoot it, and it shoots amazing for, say, 10, 20, 30 rounds, and then all of a sudden it actually drops off tremendously, and then I clean it and the groups shrink right back up, that's actually a bad thing. And I want something that can shoot more like 200, 300, 400 rounds without having to clean it. I want to keep it fouled. I don't want to be cleaning all the time. And these guys that rigorously clean the rifle's bore, the second they get home after every single range trip, especially depending on the solvent that you're using, you're probably most likely doing more damage to that rifle's bore than if you were to not do anything at all. So I've seen it a lot, especially if you're using, like a Butch's type of solvent. It can be really, really corrosive. So
what do you normally run for a solvent? I know both of us run Hoppies.
I actually use a foam bore cleaner. I try not to run too much in regards to solvents, but I have I don't know. I got it dug in here. I can't remember the name of it, but it's not that abrasive of a solvent, and I actually use a foam bore cleaner. Typically, it's this. And I have another solvent that I have, and I can't find. I know it's buried away somewhere, but usually I'm not trying to over clean that rifle's bore. And my typical rifle is usually about, I don't know, I'm going to guess probably 300 to 400 rounds by the time it needs to get cleaned. And then I'll strip it right down to bare metal to the point where that last patch is making that squeaky noise. And at that point, I know it's clean. And then you got to refollow it back out. Once you refollow it back out, and every rifle's different. Some only take a shot or two. Some take maybe 10 or 15. It's all about trying to learn where you went off with your ex-girlfriend. Each ex-girlfriend is different.
What do you guys think about this?
Ballistol? I've used Ballistol before. That's really popular in Europe, I believe. I know that Ballistol is something that CZ recommends, or at least on some of the machine guns and things like that. But it's good stuff. I just don't use it. I pretty much, you know what I use, Rick. I use the Hoppe's number 9. I use Vortec, and that's pretty much it. I do keep, the JB bore paste. It depends. It's like Todd's saying, it depends on the rifle. And you know in the first little bit if that rifle's going to be a pain in your butt over time, or if it's going to be a good one that comes right in.
Yep.
And I determine a lot of that by how much copper comes out of that barrel within the first little bit. Now, I don't ever push it to 300-400 because I don't want the accuracy to taper off if I'm in a match or something. So typically I'll go 200 rounds unless it happens before then, which it typically doesn't. I'll go 200 rounds and I'll strip all the way down to metal, get all the copper out, I'll refoul it, and then I'm good to go for the next match or season or whatever until it tells me it's not. Now, it's interesting because there was a gentleman that took my long range class, and he was like, oh man, I didn't know I was supposed to clean the bore. And I said, well, how many rounds do you have on that bore? He goes, 800. I said, you have 800 rounds in that Tika and you've never cleaned it. He said, no. I said, and you can hold an inch and a half or a minute and a half group at 100 yards? He goes, absolutely. Well, when it came time to zero, I said, show me your best 5-shot group. The best group he could print was 2.5 inches at 100 yards. He goes, I guess I should have cleaned the bore, huh? I said, yeah. So you didn't even realize that happened, because this is something that happens, guys. Guys get their rifle zeroed at 100, and then when they get into long range shooting, they don't really shoot back at 100 again. They're just shooting and hitting targets and, 700, 600, 500, and they're working it. And they don't really care. They're just kind of like Rick. They're just shooting. But unless you get it back to 100 and you didn't see that your group went from 1 inch to 2 inches, you didn't realize how much copper you were building up in there. And he was like, yeah, he called me. He said, I went home after the class. I cleaned it. I shot it. He goes, that was the problem. I said, 800 is a high round count.
Yep.
For a precision rifle to get all that copper out of there.
Yeah, and you got to look.
He said it took him hours. It took him hours.
You got to look out for carbon rings right in front of the chamber too. I've literally bore scope carbon rings that were so bad that they got to be scrubbed out, and a carbon ring can be just as bad right in front of that chamber. I don't know if you've ever ran into that, but I actually have a video on the Tesla flexible bore scope. You can get off Amazon for $49.99 shipped. And it's an amazing product. You hook it right up to your laptop or computer. You can record an HD video. And if your bore scope doesn't have a side-facing mirror and if your bore scope looks just down the bore, it's worthless. It's got to have a side-facing mirror, something that you can inspect an individual rifling from the muzzle down to the chamber. And I've inspected some of these, and you'll know instantly by bore scoping it like that how bad the carbon is, if it needs to be clean, or you can check out for that carbon ring right in front of the chamber, and it telltale sign if it needs to be cleaned or not. But really, it all depends on your rifle's accuracy. You got to listen to the rifle and let it tell you that it needs to be cleaned. So,
Yeah, exactly.
That just answered that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But if I know I do it every 200 rounds, whether it needs it or not, then I know I'm going to be good for a while. It's kind of like maybe it's that old, turning your wrenches mentality. If you don't, inspect a nut or a bolt on your vehicle or your race car, or whatever, it's harder in the future if you didn't maintain that. And so, kind of like with that guy going 800 rounds, it took him forever. Whereas if I do it every 200 rounds, yeah, it might take me 15 minutes, but it's not going to be 2 or 3 hours of trying to get all that carbon or that copper fouling back out of it. 200 is probably a little too soon, but I'm also, remember, I'm not just plinking at the range. I'm shooting these matches that I've got a lot of time and money invested in. So I just want to make sure it's good and it will last through the whole, 2 or 3 day event.
and every barrel, it really depends on the quality of the barrel too. If you get something like a very factory, like a PSA or DPMS, the rifling's been button cut, it can have some very aggressive rifling right out of the box.
Marks.
And it might take about 200-300 rounds for those groups to settle down, and it will fall out super quick. And after about 300-400 rounds, that carbon and copper fouling will settle down, the groups will settle down. You might have to lap it. Now, in comparison to something like a Krieger or a Bartling, that's been an actual rifle cut, usually more times than not, that rifling is not as aggressive. It's not as it's hard to explain. It's going to strip the copper jacket off the bullet less in comparison to something like an entry-level AR.
Correct.
And it makes a big-time difference. And like I said, every rifle's bore is like a fingerprint. It's completely different compared to the next. So,
yep. And so when you were talking about the carbon ring, the perfect analogy I was going to mention, everyone's got that one pistol probably that they neglect. They just shoot the hound out of it all the time. I have a Glock that I do that with, and let's say you shoot 1,000 rounds in an afternoon. You ever notice the carbon that builds up these little little mountains on the breech face? And you literally have to take a razor blade or something and break that, and it breaks off into flakes. You could sit there with a bronze bore brush all day long. You're not breaking that off. You're going to have to take something hard and scrape it off. Building that carbon ring inside of that chamber, like what Todd was talking about, that's what you don't want, because now you've got an area that's very hard to access, and the only thing you can really get it with is bronze brushes.
Yep, bronze.
So
nylon brush doesn't cut it, man.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. You're so limited, and unless you're going to take a dental pick and go down there with a bore scope, which I've never had the pleasure of doing, nor do I want to do. You want to stay on top of it.
And I know there's a couple guys in here, they're talking about bore snakes, and I definitely use bore snakes if I'm in a pinch out in the range. But you better make sure you're cleaning those bore snakes. Those bore snakes can get heavily laden with some serious goop, brass, and copper filing pieces. And every once in a while, I will literally grab my popcorn bowl over here, fill it up with hot water, get some Dawn Gist soap in there, and I will rigorously wash those bore snakes. And I'm going to start taking X-Ring's advice in regards to making sure I'm wearing surgical gloves while I'm doing that, because I guess I never really thought about it, but lead poisoning, I think it's a real issue. And I think maybe X-Ring can
I know it's a real issue. So,
yeah. Just as important as those safety glasses that you wear all the time.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started.
Todd always wears these really cool safety glasses, and it's got a metallic look to it.
Yeah.
Like
he's very safe while reloading. Okay. There they are. Pimp Daddy.
Oh, yeah.
What's up? Reload.
Hey, if you're going to be reloading the reloader, we might as well look sexy while you're doing it.
Yeah. I watched one of your videos the other day. I was like, does he have sunglasses on? What's he have on?
What is that? Is he trying to be all Pimp Daddy looking?
I'm just trying to follow in your guys' footsteps.
Whatever.
You should be washing your hands with soap and cold water every time you handle ammo, Tim Davis said.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, Ray had some high counts back in the day.
I still do, and I'm still battling it, and I do have some health issues with it, and I see a rheumatologist. I know this is getting kind of personal, but this is the second time, and I thought I was doing really well, and I started having a lot of abdominal issues and a lot of joint pain. And we did all the tests, thinking we checked for lupus, we checked for rheumatoid arthritis, everything, and it's linked back to the lead. I mean, my lead levels were up to 60, which is extremely high.
Wow.
And I've always thought that I practiced really good lead management. Always washing my hands and everything else. But one of the things, guys, is if you're at the range and you do a bunch of shooting, you're handling the ammo or whatever, and this was a big thing for me, squirting hand sanitizer in the days that you could actually get it. Squirting hand sanitizer in your hands and then doing this, you're just moving the lead particles around. You're not removing them whatsoever. So then, use this, and Rick and I go to McDonald's and we're eating our cheeseburgers and our French fries. You're just ingesting that because all you did was move it around. You're going to have to use something like those type soaps. The best thing to do is just wash your hands really well with soap.
Or best just not to get on there in the first place. Wear those gloves, right?
Yeah, but you can't wear the gloves all day. I mean,
when you're cleaning,
I do not touch cleaning guns without gloves. Yep.
Yep.
That's because you don't want to mess up your nails.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I don't even have any nails. Come on.
Keep that freshly painted nails,
Yeah, Rick will tell you, I usually keep 3 or 4 boxes of gloves. I mean, and I don't care if I put them on for 2 minutes. I've got a buddy that comes over, Matt, and Matt will reuse them and everything. I was like, dude, they're cheap enough. Just throw them in the garbage, put on another set. It's no big deal. I do go through a lot of rubber gloves.
Yeah, and hand sanitizer. It does.
Oh yeah, guys, I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. I mean, just so you guys know. And there's no vehicle that I own where you can't get in it. There's not a bottle in each door. It's the way I am. I've always been that way. Luckily, I've had a supply of hand sanitizer because I was always buying it. So I'm good for at least another 2 months or so.
At least for now, yeah. Tim Davis says they'll be telling you to take CBD oil.
I've actually heard that. And also there's some other stuff, there's some foods that they say help remove heavy metal. I have another really good friend who you guys know him, but I'm not going to mention his name because it is a little personal, but he is a very, very well-known reticle designer, and he's going through a lot of the same issues right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't mind doing dirty work, Jackson, at all. Rick will tell you that. I'll get down and dirty with the best of them. I mean, I did commercial roofing for 13 freaking years. But no, I guess one of my worst experiences ever. I went to the dump. And if you guys have ever been to the dump that have the sheds and, you just take a dump trailer and dump it, and everybody's got all their nasty stuff down there, and it's like that thick of just maggots and everything else. I was taking a piece of plywood off, and Sam was with me when this happened. And I took it and I threw it off, and it hit it, and it threw all of the fluid on the ground on me.
Oh,
like head to toe. Okay, now I have a really strong stomach. All I did was I took my clothes off in the shed, stripped down to my underwear, got in the truck, and we were gone. I was like, I gotta take a shower. That is nasty. I left the clothes there, the hat, everything.
Were you dry heaving? You're like, oh.
Oh, it was bad. It was really, really bad.
Yeah.
All right,
well,
so
there you go. So Jackson, there we go. He says it's not the same as maggots falling down on you. Well, it was pretty much the same thing, except they were flying towards me instead of falling on me.
Oh God.
Anyway, we'll change topics. We're going to talk about, and I have a video that I was going to release, was moving targets. I wonder how many guys have experience with it that are watching the channel right now or watching the chat. It's something that Todd has done. He has a facility at his range. I've done a lot of it, mostly at military ranges where you can adjust the speeds and everything else. And it is very difficult if you're not used to doing it. A lot of guys don't realize that, okay, you take your guy that's like, man, I love my 308. It's just a heavy hitter at 100 yards. That don't matter. Okay, you get a guy running at, a guy jogging approximately 8 miles an hour. A fast walk is about 4 miles an hour. At 8 miles an hour, you will miss that guy. Unless you know how to lead, there is enough error there at 8 miles an hour to jog that bullet will arrive and the man will be gone. So that was a topic that I was going to talk about. We, Rick and I actually, the other night, we set up a mover, and it moves approximately 5 miles an hour. And we set it up at the house here. And I knew Rick didn't have any experience with it other than wing shooting stuff. What is it that you did a lot of?
Sporting
Rick?
clays.
Sporting clays. And it's the same type principle, but it's not as exact. You're just leading that bird. Whereas if you can do the calculations depending on the distance, and 22 is a great platform to practice this with because it's not that super high velocity and it's taking longer to get there. I mean, guys, just the flight time when we were shooting the other day at 600 yards was 2.8 seconds. So I could fire, and I'm sitting there waiting. Think about it. 1001, 1002, 1000.
How much of a mill adjustment for that?
I'd have to pull up the chart, but
I suppose you're maxing out your reticle too?
Yeah, I was already maxed out at 500 yards on the holds with that 22. At 400 yards, I was at 17 mils. And 17 mils was about max for that Burris. So then I was holding another 13 at 500. So you're already at 30 mils at 500 yards. So at 600, I actually had to zoom on the first focal. I had to zoom out so that I could have more usable reticle. And I'd have to pull up the exact numbers, but I think it ended up being, it was insane. It was like...
That's like comparable to shooting over a mile.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got the wind that's really killing the target.
Something like a 6.5 Creedmoor, I should say, but yeah.
Man, the wind was horrible.
Do you think that bullet is tumbling by then at 700, 800 yards?
I would think so. Okay, and so Bad Billy, I'm not calling you out on this. I don't want you to take it at that. Can you highlight that, Rick? Okay, so, and this is not directed towards you, but I've heard this all my life. Oh, I shot that deer. He was in a full sprint, and I dropped him. Okay, and yeah, I'm sure that it's happened with a lot of people. Bad Billy, you're probably very accomplished. I know you've been on the channel, mine and Rick's, for a long time. A deer can sprint at about 30 miles an hour, okay? That's a full sprint for a deer. For a whitetail deer in North America is about 30 miles an hour. The lead on that is insane, okay? It is actually over 6 foot of lead. It actually comes out to about 16 mils of lead in it. You don't even have that much lead in your reticle. Most of your best reticles, you're going to be maxed out at somewhere between 5 mils unless you're dialing. So, yeah, you can get lucky with the wing shooting. And another thing that's helping you with the deer is a deer is wide this way. So let's say that deer is running this way, and let's say you're leading him. Let's say if you didn't lead enough, you're at least going to probably gut shoot him or hit him in the hind quarter or something like that. But a man is not like that, okay? We're talking about a moving target, especially, okay, I'm not going to be running towards you. That's going to be easy shot. That's like a wind at 6 or 12. But when I take my body and I do this and I'm running, I have very little target for someone to hit. Okay, you're looking at about 12 inches. 12 inches? That is the width of the target? What's that?
With all that donut you eat, you think it'd be at least a few more inches.
Yeah, maybe 14 inches. No. So you have to think you have a really small target to hit while it's moving. So just to give you an example, guys, whether you're an MOA or whether you're a mill shooter, if you are at a fast walking pace, that is approximately 4 miles an hour. 4 miles an hour at 100 yards, whether you're shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor or you're shooting a 7.62 or 308, you're going to be leading at about 2.2 mils. 2.2 at 100 yards. That's enough to miss that 12-inch target that is walking quickly, okay? So there's a couple different ways to shoot leads. There's a term that I use a lot of times, and it's called an intersect, or it's actually called ambush is what it's called. The technical term is ambush. So if you have your crosshairs here, and this target, I'm reversed. Okay, so here's your crosshairs, What you want to do is if this target's moving, if you're stationary, you're not moving, you're just waiting, and you know that you estimate that it's moving at 4 miles an hour into your line of sight, then you have to fire. Let's say he's 2.2 miles, or let's say he's 4 miles an hour. You're going to have to, I told you it was about 2.2 mils. You're going to have to fire when he gets right at 2.2 to 2 mils. So then you're ambushing it so that they will intersect at the same time.
Yeah, you're not following it, you're setting it ahead.
Correct. Now, if it's, okay, let's say this is your target, and this is your crosshair, what you can do is you can track it, okay? I just reversed. And what you're going to do is you're going to stay out in front of it by that 2.2 mils. And you're just tracking, and then you have to decide when to take the shot. There's another one where you can actually do, it's kind of a combination of the both. And what you're doing is you're just tracking on it, and then you'll advance in front of it and then fire.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, these are slow speeds we're talking about. 4 miles an hour, 8 miles an hour. When you start to try to hit moving vehicles or things that are moving like deer at 30 miles an hour, it is no joke. It's a lot harder. I mean, if you've done it, you've done it. But when you figure out the math in it, it is extremely difficult. And you also have to figure out wind. If he is walking into the wind, if he's got the wind at his back, all of that matters because now you're trying to calculate both. It's very difficult.
So tell me about this moving target you guys made.
That's why you need a 30-round mag.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
Rick tried it.
Target.
Rick tried it, and Rick will tell you it's not so easy. I actually have the video here.
Is it like was it on a track or what is it?
He wants to know how we made it. So we used.
Okay, so what we did is we took poly, and I've made a lot of movers before, and it's believe it or not, it's a little more difficult than most people think, just to get the speed right, because you don't want it so fast the thing's moving at 8-10 miles an hour, and it's like, geez, because that's not that realistic. A jogging man is 8 miles an hour. Okay.
What do you got, like a deer silhouette on it?
No. We actually hung steels from it. So what we did is we put we put a rope between two trees. We got the angle right, and then we built a trolley system with basically two pulleys on it, and it just goes across. And we had to do it in a way that your resetter guy that's pulling it is out of harm's way.
Yep.
And so Rick would pull it for me about 5 or 6 shots, and then we just switch off, and then I would do it 5 or 6 shots. But doing it with the 22 makes it that much more fun because you don't have to be 100 yards away to get to the target. You can practice this at 50 yards, and at 50 yards, that target, you've got to lead it by about 4 mils. And Rick didn't know that. I didn't say anything, and I got my hits on the target because I've done enough of it. And Rick goes up and he's like, "Man, that's harder than I thought."
It's
but
very
it was great training, though.
Yeah, I've done it. We have
what's the lead I need? He's all.
I wouldn't tell him. I wouldn't tell him.
Oh, thanks, Dick. I figured it out though. I hit it after the third try. I think.
Yeah, at the 600-yard NRA range on the other side of town. Obviously they have a humongous berm that you can walk behind it. And people are shooting over your head and. You literally hear the snap of that bullet. You listen to the little sonic boom. You listen to the actual sonic boom of that bullet whiz over your head, and it's like a big snap. It's something if you've never experienced it before, if you've never been in a battle before, if you've never been behind a berm, it's interesting to hear a supersonic bullet whiz over your head. But anyway, they do have a trolley system there, and it's no joke. It's like a little miniature railroad track system that comes out of the berm, and this little railroad track system's on concrete on top of the berm, and they can attach anything to it. Silhouettes, they usually attach this cardboard silhouette, and there's a guy behind there that does a hand crank, and this full-size deer cardboard silhouette pops out of the berm and rides the whole distance of that top of that berm, and it's got to be at least I don't know, probably 50 yards, and it's something. If you've never done it before, like X-Ring was mentioning, it's not that easy. It's not that easy, and obviously depending on how fast it's going and what yardage you're shooting at, everything's affected, but it's a lot of fun. If you've never done it, I definitely highly suggest doing it. So
yep.
It's tough. I could see it being a lot of fun though. The
And it's interesting too when you're using cardboard like that because you're seeing exactly where you're hitting, and then we put the little pasties on there and cover up your hole, and the next guy goes up and gives her hell, and they roll it down the track, and then they go the opposite direction. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to do quite a bit of it, and if you're used to being in what we call the pits or the butts, it's you. Have you done any high power rifle shooting, Todd?
Not really. Like I said, I was mentioning to Rick, I'm more of a weekend warrior on steroids. I just go out there and have a good time. I've never really done any real competitions out there.
Well, if you're in the pits or the butts, as we call it, you have this basically a vertical trolley system. Depending on how nice the range is, it'll either be electric or you're gonna have to pull them by hand. So at 600 yards, let's say they're shooting, and you put the targets up, they'll shoot, and as soon as you hear that crack, which the best way to describe being shot at or hearing a supersonic bullet go over your head is think about somebody firing a 22 short right over your head, and you hear this. You hear and you hear boof, and that was the gunshot. A second and a half afterwards, you'll hear the boom.
Yeah.
But either way, we bring the target down, you put a plugger in it, and you run it back up. And then that way they can look and see where that impact was on it. This is on a stationary target.
Mm-hmm.
For moving targets, what you do is you get in the butts and you have a stick with a silhouette. And that silhouette is really narrow because you're trying to really hone in those skills. And you basically just walk back and forth. And you take turns doing this. You'll shoot. Then when you got to switch off and they'll shoot, they'll typically do half-day rotations on that, unless you pay somebody to do it. Because sometimes at some of the military ranges, you can actually pay privates for the day to do that, so you don't have to do that rotation. I know it sounds cheap, but if you do it enough, you'll pay somebody to do that.
Here's $20.
Now, a lot of the training that I've done over at the old Blackwater Z Academy, whatever, those are actually movers that you adjust, boom, and you have targets just moving across, and you can make them multiple speeds.
Wow, I
bet that's awesome. That's a great training facility.
Wow, where is that facility?
The Blackwater's in Moyock, and it still exists. It did not go under. They just changed the name and everything on it. And Blackwater is still in operation. Matter of fact, there's Blackwater Ammo. They're actually based out of Charlotte now. And I know those guys, great guys. But they've got to the ammunition making business as well.
They're making it.
Yeah, they're making a lot of
ammo. As much as they need it.
Yeah.
It makes sense, I guess. So the 22 long rifle returns to be one of my favorite rounds ever.
And I was a little jaded going out there, Todd, because I had mentioned to you on the phone on the way to the range, we picked up a bunch of stingers.
Yeah.
And, someone mentioned you're not supposed to shoot stingers from it, but I was looking for that extra velocity because I knew I was going to be pushing these things, out to 500-600 yards, and it was going to be difficult.
I actually think it says in the manual you're not supposed to shoot it, but like I mentioned
correct.
to you on Sniper's Hide, I've seen some guys doing it.
Yeah. And so I tried it, and it didn't work out too well. But when I backed down into more accurate ammunition like the Ely 10X and stuff like that, even though it was slower, because it was a more accurate round inherently,
Stangers are saying.
Yeah. It seems like sometimes when you're shooting 22, if you stay right to the point where it's going supersonic, so it doesn't have to go subsonic.
Yeah, where it's not breaking into that range, that transition.
It'll actually be more accurate, depending on what yardage you're shooting at. So
you should have heard Ray, man. We were sitting there, right? And we're getting down there, and I'm still mounting the scope and bipod and shit. Because I had to cut the box open to get the shit out, right? And Ray's over there, and he's like,
"You weren't mounting the scope. I mounted the scope."
No, but I had to put all the other crap on. So he's like, "Oh man," he's like, "This ammo ain't that good."
Yeah, the most I've ever shot my 22 was at 300 yards, and I think that took 51 minutes of angle. So if you guys are shooting 600, man, that's really, really impressive. So
now we had a lot of wind.
It was
Rick,
stupid.
tell him it was. There's no other word. It's stupid.
It was bad. It would be okay, and then it would be like a constant. So you'd be like, okay, stay like that, and then it freaking go the other way. You're like, what the?
But usually I'm just shooting CCI standard velocity. It's so darn cheap, and it's amazing round for the price. I did get a chance to shoot a full box of Ultra Match out of my RPR, and holy smokes! I mean, it was literally just a bullet hole at 50 yards. I mean, night and day difference. But I can't justify that price, man. I mean, I'm getting what 2,000 rounds of CCI standard velocity shipped from Brownells with a promo code for $85. Or at least I was, not anymore. But
I like Val's comment here.
Yeah, he won't let me mount anything. He's like, no, give me that.
Give me that. I'll be done in 30 seconds. I don't have 40 minutes. Actually,
yeah, it's like I can never learn because he's like, nope.
No, you've asked a couple times. You're like, let me do it. And I'm like, okay, man, it's all you. I'll be back in an hour. Wait a minute. Wait. So yesterday he's like, I'm going to try this. I want to hear. You know, we were talking about the firing pin noise that the RPR makes.
Yep.
His does not.
No.
Okay. His does not. So
Really?
he's trying to single feed.
Put it in mine. It's all bam.
So he's trying to single feed a shot case from a 22 long rifle with no magazine inserted, and he's picking it up off the ground. I was like, dude, it's going to be like 30 minutes. And he puts it in there. He's like, there's your 30 minutes. And then he wants to try it again. Well, you know what happens the second time. I said, yeah, just had to run your mouth, didn't you? he kept dropping it. He couldn't fit it in there. I said, that's what was supposed to happen the first time.
Yeah.
I tell you, though, man, I put my friend's Siler's Code 22 can on mine, and, man, no joke, the firing pin and the impact of the bullet hitting whatever is louder than the report.
Yes,
it's insane.
Hold on for just a second. I'm gonna grab a target.
You know, you could hear bang, and then I would shoot boom, bang, boom. That's all you could hear is the bang. I'm like, yeah, that's annoying. I'd rather hear the boom.
But both of you guys' RPRs are comparably accurate.
They seem to be. I need to try some different ammo with it to really get, to see what's the favorite. My break-in was shoot 500 rounds with whatever was in front of me.
It will get more accurate, trust me. I noticed mine from the second I got it. After about 300, 400, 500 rounds, it just got more and more accurate. It's still doing that. Hell, I bet I have 1,500 rounds in mine already. And the more I shoot it, the more accurate it is.
Yeah. I did hear you say that, actually.
Yeah.
No, that'll be good to see, because I'm probably, I don't know.
All right, so
how many rounds did we shoot at the range yesterday? Just in the
it was a ton, boatload. It was an absolute boatload.
I'm trying to figure out how many rounds I have on it. Maybe 300, 400.
All right, so I'm not going to give away too much of the video, but I do want to show Todd some of these results here. So the very first day that I got my RPR, and everybody else might find this interesting as well, this target right here. Is the light good on, or is it too much light?
I can see it.
Okay, so you see there's 5 shots.
Yeah.
That is a 4-inch circle. That is with the RPR with, now this is at 100. We don't shoot at 50. So those are 100-yard target. And that was with the Federal Gold Medal target, not Ultra Match. Okay? I was not impressed with it, nor have I ever been impressed with that ammunition, even out of my CC455s. I've never seen it group that well. This right here, that one, you see they're really low and they're off to the, I don't know if it's going to be reversed, but off to the left. That was meant for this, but that was CCI suppressor. So that didn't do well at all. This one right here is Gemtech, which is the orange suppressor ammo. Hold on. Right there. That's pretty impressive at 100 yards for the RPR, just right out of the box. Okay. Mm-hmm. That grouping is going to be just under 2 inches. And then this is the Ultra Match 22 that you were just talking about. Hold on, at 100. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was at 100 yards. The other one was the Ely 10X, and we had the highest X round count or the X ring counts with the Ely 10X. But once again, that's stupid expensive ammunition.
Yep. Yeah, I printed this at 100 yards in my RPR, and that's CCI standard velocity.
Okay.
So it's about a half minute of angle at 100 yards. But you know, that's not. It doesn't do that all the time. I'm gonna be honest with you. But I did print that
Correct.
today. I was able to hit that know your limits target at 100 yards for the first, second, third, and fourth in a row. And I think it's what, 2 inch and 3/4, inch and a half, inch and a quarter. And then I missed on the fifth one, hit it again. So I was damn near to get it all the way down to half inch at 100 yards. It's very impressive for such an inexpensive firearm. I mean, heck, you can get those things for what, $375, $400. I mean, it's crazy.
I think we answered this yesterday, but this will be good to bring up again tonight.
Yeah, so Rick and I have both had the opportunity to shoot the CZ455 trainer, and I really love that setup. It's basically a 455 that has the Manners stock, and that's pretty much it. But you're looking at an $800 to $1,000 gun. I think you can actually get it for a little over $800 when they're in stock.
Well, shouldn't you be looking at the 457 though, the new one?
I guess you could, but the question is the 455 trainer, so I don't know. Is the price difference justified? Is the RPR more than capable for the money without spending $1,000 on the CZ? My answer now would be yes, because the RPR does outshoot my 455. Rick will attest to that. Even when we spent hours comparing the two on the video, the problem is the video is too long and I'm trying to condense it down. And I thought that CZ was the end all be all. I'd bought it for my daughter, but I end up shooting it more than she does. Then I get that RPR, and that thing's shooting as well and better with more adjustability for length of pull and the cheek riser. Plus, I have the options for the M-LOK to put a Picatinny on there for the a bipod instead of having to do a sling swivel stud on a conventional wood stock. So, yeah, I would go RPR.
I would say one of the downfalls, if any, and I can see why they did it this way, but it's just a little thin in the back in the stock. It's made for probably making it lighter, less material, maybe more for kids to carry. I wish they would have beefed that up a little bit and done a little better job on the rear stock.
So if you guys want,
you're only saying that because it's flimsy, right? It's a little flimsy.
Yeah, it's a.
I agree. The stock is nothing to be impressed about.
Yeah, I wish they would have put.
They should have matched the original RPR stock.
Yeah, I wish they would have put a little more.
So it was a true trainer rifle.
Correct.
Now, if you guys want some really, really good information, you want to know what 22LR is on top of its game. Back in the day, back in about 2011, 2012, when I started out on Sniper's Hide, I actually started that closed group. It's a 6x5 closed group where people were competing around the world online, and you were shooting one single target, 6 total 5-shot groups, and we would score the average group size of each 5-shot group. We'd add up the 6 total groups and divide it by 6, and that was your score. Well, they're still continuing that on Sniper's Hide. I don't know if you can make this out here or not. So right there at the top, if you can make that out, see where it says 6x5 thread?
Yeah.
Okay, so I started that way back in the day, and a couple of guys took it back over on Sniper's Side, and they have that not only for regular firearms, but they also have it for 22. And they have a top, I did a top 10 list back in the day, but now they're thinking doing top 100. And not only do they post the score of what that person gets with their firearm, but they also post the type of firearm they use and the ammo. So it's definitely something you want to check out. And they're still, I just couldn't do it all those years, and someone took over for me, and they're still doing it, right? J-Bell's running it now on Sniper's Side. But it's a one-shot target. It's no cherry picking. Your target is what it is. And it's like drag racing in the firearm community. And you're shooting 6 total 5-shot groups. You put a quarter or a tape measure on there, and then we measure it up for you. We we get the group size of every single group, all 6. We add up the group size of all 6, divide it by 6, and that's your score. And you can't bullshit that. It is what it is. And those guys on there are posting those, and it's invaluable information. And you can see which particular firearm, especially in the 22 LR community, is performing best. And usually those CZ 457s, matter of fact, the Tika T1X, those are coming out on the top end, along with some Ruger precision rimfires, but not all the time. Usually it's those CZ 457s and 455s. But it's definitely something to check out if you're trying to get an idea of what price range you're trying to spend at, how much. You know, if you only got $400 or $500, you might want to consider something like a CZ 457, a Tika T1X, or a Ruger RPR 22LR firearm. Or if you got $1,000 to spend, then maybe look at that trainer rifle. And I believe that they have the new CZ 457, so it's something to definitely check out. But they're also putting what type of ammunition they're using, and it's insanely awesome information, especially if you're just getting into the 22LR part.
There's a lot of good questions in here. Yeah.
Okay, so LZ, they asked if you've seen the trace on a 22 long rifle bullet. I don't know if it's the trace or if it's the bullet, but yes, you can see it.
Yeah, someone had asked that. Yeah, I think it's the bullet, honestly.
Some of those best, if you were to spend a well north of 1,000, I probably wouldn't even look at the trainer. I'd probably look at a Voodoo. I'd probably look at the Voodoo 22 LR.
But the Voodoos with the chassis, you're looking at $2,500 though, Todd.
Yeah, I mean, if you want the best, the money's not an issue.
Yeah,
that's it. So,
but then you got to say, okay, it's a 22 long rifle too.
Exactly. It just depends on your purpose and what you're doing.
That Anschutz that Ray has, that thing's a tack driving, but
yeah, but those are
it.
Big money. You can't compare that though. I mean, now you're in a. The only thing that I think would be better than that would be an Anschutz with a Forster action. You know, where you basically just have it's a bolt action, but you're just sliding it back and forward.
Didn't we do this already?
And those Anschutz, those are up in the top 10 also on that 6x5 closed group.
Oh, that's stupid.
Those are amazing too. So I would say it's probably those top 4. You know, the Tika T1X, the 457CZ, the Ruger RPR, and yeah, for the money, if you're looking at $500 or less.
Didn't we do this, Ray?
Yeah, we did, but I still have 2 that we can do. You know, at some other time, maybe it's not really fair to compare them though, because the price point's not even in the same ballpark. But you could compare the groups.
Yeah, he just wanted to. I think it was a video of us shooting one of those.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got that RPR for $380. I mean, that's just
good Lord, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of bang for your buck.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I am happy to get it. I wasn't looking for another firearm. You know, in your mind, you're like, I'm not really looking for anything. But then you see it, and you're like, you know what? It's a good time to get one. You know, the prices on everything seem.
Go bang.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start calling you that.
His doesn't make the noise. I think it's the firing pin. I just got to look at it.
What's up, X? Ping.
What are you guys running a one-piece mount, or did you do something more like me with like low or what am I using? Medium rings? I don't know. Whatever rings got the scope as low as possible.
Well, one of them's got a set of Night Force rings, and there's very little clearance for the objective, so you couldn't go any lower. And that's what we put on Rick's rifle. Mine has that, what was it has the FR3 machine, FR3, and it actually fits pretty well. So no complaints there. We just threw them on.
Yeah, it wasn't even on that rifle. I had no plans of even getting that.
If you put a regular one-piece AR scope mount on there, you will run out of cheek welds. I know that I tried doing it when I first got mine. You will run out of cheek weld. Well, you won't, but it would be maybe 1 or 2 slots left, and it's too wobbly.
So. Yeah.
Let's see here.
Sounds like I need a better headset. Bald and Curious says my headset sounds like shit.
Yeah, my buddy, he's in here, but when he types, I can't see it. So I don't know if you guys can see it, El Gato Grande or not. Can you see him in the comment section? It'd be a little while
I
up.
do not see the big cat anywhere.
Yeah, that's weird. I can't see him either. He's showing me. He sent me pictures on the phone of him typing in there. You can see he's in the comment section. I don't know what the deal is. That's the same problem I have with Matt.
I was checking out your revolver video today there, actually. That's pretty impressive with that 357.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. I wanted to do that. There's another performance center I'm going to do where it's got the the cylinder release, but it's all the way back. It's like a Jerry Mitchell type gun. It is literally for speed, and I'll do that. It's just I haven't done a lot of revolvers on the channel, and it's not that I don't like them. I love revolvers, but for the stuff we normally shoot, I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not that into them anymore, but I appreciate them and I do like them.
Look at that. You were getting some pretty tight groups with that 357, though.
Oh yeah, they are definitely shooters. Some of the best groups I've ever had. Rick can tell you when I first met him, I used to shoot against people at distance with a pistol for, we'll just say, coin.
He used to take my money, asshole.
Well, not yours. This was a weekly thing. You remember? Yeah. And everybody would show up, and everybody would bring a pistol, and we would just choose one pistol, and it was best group at 25 yards, and we would do this for $1 a point. Winner got it, and it gets expensive. And some of the best groups were out of some custom revolvers, just insane groups at 25 yards.
You're like, I owe $40.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's a 49 with let's see, 4 X's, and it's like, oh crap. Yeah, those revolvers are good.
I think I got to short my freaking headset.
Yeah, I think it's yours making the static.
Yeah.
Armament Axis says race gun, Ray. I don't know I'm not sure what that means.
Are you borrowing Jeff's or Brad's or one of those guys?
Yeah, that's one that Yang had, and he wanted me to take it, and I was like, no, with all the stuff going on, I'll get up with you later and grab it.
Yeah, that actually looks like a nice revolver.
Yeah, it is. And I played around with it, and you can reload that one very quickly.
It's Clinton House.
Like that. What's that?
You guys will have your volume up or something? Do one of you guys have your volume up on something?
No, I've got mine where I always keep it. It's pretty low.
All right.
I'm outside, so I shouldn't be getting any feedback.
Were you at the Clinton House when you're shooting that revolver?
No, that was actually at Old Fort.
Yeah,
they have pistol bays there as well.
Shit, it's 2 hours from there, really. Because you're kind of
the opposite direction. It's the complete opposite direction.
Yeah.
Dang, we have been on here for an hour.
God,
doesn't it seem like 20 minutes?
Oh yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about, Armament. I've shot with Jerry before. I mean, I know him. Great guy. But yeah, those guns are full tricked out race guns. Just like back in the day before he changed to a different shotgun, and when he was shooting a JM Pro, that is not the same as what you guys are buying. So.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, and and he moved to open, and so he was always shooting the speed loaders and everything else.
I've never been a revolver fan. I mean, I don't mind them, but that's not going to be the first thing I go out and buy. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you. I mean, nothing against revolvers. I just would never get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Davis says and shoots 1903 target rifle is 1600 without sights. I think that's kind of an entry level one as well. Matter of fact, I kind of know it is. Yeah.
Yeah, they make some pretty high end stuff, but they are really, really accurate. Especially when we're shooting. What is that? A chicken? What's that little chicken? Is it a chicken? Or
yeah, and it's about 1 inch tall.
Yeah. Ray got on this little kick for a little while to shoot 22 long range competition.
No, we were doing silhouette competition.
Silhouette, yeah, and that stupid little chicken was stupid. I only call it stupid because I think I probably missed it a bunch.
Yeah, Jackson, I'll definitely do some more revolver reviews coming up. And Bald, I mean, I know you're a very competent shooter. I just, when we went to the farm or whatever, I never had a chance to shoot against you with a pistol, but I enjoy it all. I mean, if there's a discipline that I don't know or haven't done, I always at least try to get my feet wet in it so I have a better understanding. And I understand, it's different. It's all different. Whether it's high power, whether it's silhouette, they have their pros and cons. And you just can't do it all, though.
Yeah, I actually ball this pretty quick with the revolver.
Yeah. I know. I've shot with him enough. I mean, yeah, Jerry is very fast. Yeah, no doubt about it.
He's not even fast. That's freaking a robot.
He's a machine gun.
Yeah, I actually beat him on a stage at the World Championships on Bianchi. No, it was modified Canton Perry. I actually finished, I think I was second or third in Worlds. And I looked down there, I was looking for Jerry's name. I was like, I can't believe it. I actually got him on this one. But man, he cleaned house in all the shotgun stages. I didn't know he was that proficient of a shotgunner. He was pretty much cleaning everything. What is it on 5 stand? 25 is the max. If he wasn't 24, he was 25 every time. And when they used to do Worlds, you didn't use your own pistols. They provided everything for you, the ammunition and everything else. And so we were using an over and under, and it had the switch where you could switch over from, your modified to whatever choke it was for the over and under. He was killing everything. Man is a machine.
He's good, but he does nothing probably but shoot, which is awesome. I mean,
so did you have any competitions that got canceled here, Ray, that you're going to be in here recently that ended up getting canceled?
I didn't have anything planned for this time of year. I was going to wait till the fall because some of those matches are so far away. But you got the Snipers Unknown, which I'll be doing in October. And then the week after that is the one out west in Wyoming. So those are my two big ones that I was going to make this year.
Well, who knows
really
what the hell is going to happen now?
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
Now, Chris Edwards, I believe is his name, I think it's Chris Edwards. He's a bending instructor at the sniper school down there. He's starting a designated marksman series, and I think it was supposed to be at Panteo in a couple weeks, and they just canceled that. So,
well, they just extended that thing another 30 days. I think is what Trump had said.
Yeah. I actually had we were going to Florida to Naples in middle of April. We ended up obviously having to cancel it, which whatever. I guess I'll just have to go to the rifle range.
Exactly. Oh, wait a minute. So I got another 30 days to shoot.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be doing a bunch of shooting. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I'm not really wanting to get out in public whatsoever anymore, and it's got me considering. Because I'm not going to lie to you, and this was a conversation my dad and I had. I think everybody's starting to see the seriousness of everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They're estimating now in the United States that even with all these controlled measures, we could be seeing numbers of 80 to 100,000 deaths stateside. And those are, I'm not going to say they're conservative numbers, but I know for a fact that 80's kind of been the number, and we've surpassed everything they've ever projected.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like Rick and I would go to the range and we stop at McDonald's. Yeah, we're going through a drive-through, but now it's got me to the point where I don't know if I want to do as much of that as I'd been doing. Yeah, you got to go to the range. You got to eat. Maybe we pack a lunch. But I'm thinking that interaction we need to quit.
I was just talking to my woman about that. I'm like,
well,
you don't know if you go through a drive-through if the guy's, it might be wearing gloves, but who knows if he's still doing this with the gloves?
Yeah, correct.
You're taking a risk when you go through a drive-through like that.
Yeah.
My wife put a kibosh on that to the kids. Like, you will not eat out.
Yeah.
I'm running around eating Bojangles and McDonald's and pissing them all off.
Okay, so HRM weapons machinist, he's asking the question, how many people died from the flu last year? Someone look it up. I mean, I don't have access to that right now while I'm on this chat because I'll kill my internet.
Yeah,
but in the U.S., not worldwide, in the U.S., how many people died of the flu last year?
I'll Google it right now.
Because I still, and I'm not going to say I wasn't one of them, and I hope I'm not ticking people off. If I am, it's just my opinion. I think initially a lot of people didn't take this to heart. and I think people are starting to see severity of it. We're already seeing it in the hospital here. And, we're in North Carolina, and it's really starting to rise rapidly. And the way that you die from this, there's quite a few doctors that have talked about it. Once it happens, it's very quick. You're basically suffocating, and there's nothing they can do. They basically turn on ventilators.
You drown.
You're
drown
drowning.
in fluids.
Yeah, and so
it's the pneumonia that kills you.
That's exactly right. So 18,000. So Ronnie Smith says 18,000 people died last year.
Oh, it's more
from the flu, and that is a lot of people. And I get in the U.S., Todd.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not looking it up. So
2018 to 2019 was 34,200 flu-related deaths.
Okay, now triple that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's so many different ways of looking at it, but that is a lot of people. I mean, 36,000 is a lot of people, or whatever number you said.
The World Health Organization estimates that flu kills 290,000. Well, Jesus, that's a huge range. 290,000 to 650,000. That's a pretty big range there, but anyway. But yeah, like you said, I mean, if it's going to be 100,000 plus just for this alone in the United States, that's a pretty crazy numbers. I mean, I keep on telling this to our kids, because they always want to go out, and I always bring up that they know the 3%, if they get it there's a chance that you could die from it. And I'm like, if you were to go on a bus of 100 people and one person in that bus had COVID, well, 3 out of that 100 in that bus are going to die. It snaps into perspective pretty quick. I'm like, would you get on that bus? And they say no. So I'm like, well,
yeah. The other one is, here's a bowl of M&Ms. One of them will kill you. You don't want any of those M&Ms. Okay.
No, exactly.
This should be.
So, they said if they wouldn't have implemented all these measures with the schools and everything else, the number would have been over 2 million deaths in the United States.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, and these are statistics people are throwing out there, but none of us here are doctors, and we can only go on what they're giving us. But I do know that it is pretty serious. I do know that my wife is in the healthcare industry, and she is thinking about getting out of it. And she's been doing it for 20 years. A lot of schooling, and she's just to the point now, I don't know if I want to deal with it anymore. And, I can't blame her, because, we could be as safe as we want, but she still has to go into work.
And
she could get it, and then she could bring it here. Well, ironically, today they mandated that they all wear the masks.
Oh, today?
Today, because they had one die Sunday at the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you guys in lockdown there in the Carolinas? Like statewide lockdown?
I don't know if you call it lockdown. It's stay in place, stay at home.
Yeah, where essential businesses are shut down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, non-essential businesses,
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, thank God my in-laws just, they just made a new private range at 100 yards, and I got a ton of steel targets coming in. I'm going to line that up for my future videos, so I can't wait to get that done. You son of a gun, you.
Well, someone asked, who was the Krispy Kreme person?
Yeah,
that would be me.
Don't leave home without them.
Jeez Louise, it's amazing your teeth don't fall out.
Oh, Levi's wife quit her job over this also. Or over all this.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you guys you guys don't do much for reloading videos, but I tell you, I've been doing a lot of these live reloading videos, and they're all getting monetized. I think you guys should really look into it.
Well, I would be doing live chats, except there's this shitbag that's always on every time I try to go live. What's his name? What is his name? I can't think of it. I can't remember. I'll be like, who's live right now? And I'll be like, Elfster's live.
But I think it'd be kind of cool to see you do a reloading video there, Ray.
No, I won't be doing one of those anytime soon. And way to call me out, Tim. Yeah, no fork today.
1,000 rounds, please. Okay, thank you. He only reloads if he has to. I have to twist his arm sometimes.
I did so much reloading though over the years,
Yeah,
and
what's your torque,
I
right?
don't know. Maybe this is going to sound really, really bad. It really is, and I hope people don't see me in a different light.
Here, hold on.
Better be careful, Ray.
No. This is good. This is good.
Yeah.
Where's your light? Go
I,
ahead.
I really don't believe. I mean, everything that I find with factory ammunition, like the Hornet ELD match, that's all I shoot at these matches because with a previous job, we were not allowed to shoot hand loads. You had to shoot factory inspected and loaded ammunition. And I was able to win those matches shooting that. I mean, what is good enough? Do we sometimes get caught up in chasing that perfect round? And, there's a saying that my dad's right here and he's going to laugh when I say this. Sometimes enough errors cancel to make things happen the right way. Okay?
Well, I tell you though, if you're not shooting like bench rest rifle or F class, you almost almost really have to use factory. I mean,
yeah,
you need something consistent that you're not constantly fooling around with the numbers. You literally just grab it off the shelf. You know that particular factory ammunition is going to have X type powder and X type bullet that you constantly rely on for X type dope.
But reloading is about saving money. So me personally,
okay, if you do the math on that, Rick, and you put it into a calculator,
shut up.
I know I was with you when you did it, but the initial cost of everything, you're not going to see that savings for a long time. And you know that, right, Todd?
Oh yeah. Well, you just like the whole saying is you just shoot twice as much.
Exactly.
It's half the price.
And I don't enjoy reloading. I'm beyond that. I'm not going to get rid of my equipment ever because that is my backup if I need it. But I'm not that big of a reloader anymore. But I'll do it if I have to.
It's either you love it or you hate it.
I do.
I hate it.
It definitely saves money. Or you shoot.
Well, and then there's another side of it, and this is going to be the tough one to say. But until I became sponsored, all of that changed.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was having to make my own ammo and everything else. But once I became a sponsored shooter and started getting ammunition, I didn't have to worry about it. I could make a phone call, I would get it, and it was but I didn't take advantage of it. And Rick will tell you this 100%. I never took advantage of that, nor do I now. Mm-hmm. If I need something for a match, let's say I need 200 rounds for a match, I will place a call and say, look, I'll probably need 100 to practice with, and because I don't do a lot of practicing. Rick will tell you that. He knows it. I'll say I need 100 for a match and 200 200 for the match, 100 for practice, and that's all I ask for. So if you're not just call, I need a case, I need 5 cases, and that's unfortunately what happens with a lot of shooters.
Yeah, and then they sell it out of the back of their truck.
You're exactly right. I can't tell you how much ammunition I bought that way.
Yeah.
Hand loads for your 2011.
Okay. Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Because I have two sponsors for 9mm. One provides it, but it was hand loaded, and someone was paid to hand load 40,000 rounds. And Rick, you know what I'm talking about. Because this person came up, basically everything was set up, and they loaded 40,000 rounds, and we pull from that. And then I have another one where it's factory ammunition, and that's Defender, and those guys have always supported me. I can't say enough good things about Christian Haywood over Defender, but yeah, I usually shoot their stuff if I'm not shooting the other.
I'm not much of a I have pistols and I shoot pistols, but I'm not huge into them. But man, you guys keep on talking about those 2011s. I might have to get one. Sounds like they pretty much shoot themselves, huh?
They're so freaking awesome.
Once you do it, you'll never look back.
My God.
Yeah, you probably don't want to even touch one. To tell you the honest truth, Todd.
How much are they running for again?
Yeah, what he said.
Okay, here's an example. Let's see if I can do the math right. Hold on.
Hey, where are you guys getting your hats made?
I get mine made in California.
You get them made at the same place?
There's a place in Asheville that does really good work. I was put onto them by Microtech because they do all of their swag, their merch gear. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's expensive, but their quality is second to none. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm having to pay a premium for those hats. I decided not to sell them. I have a whole bunch of them. Those will be either like giveaways or gifts to friends. They did cost me a lot of money though.
For the price I paid for the RPR, it's 12 of those.
What is your wife close by or something?
No, it's just I'm putting it in perspective. It's like $5,000.
Jeez Louise. I
They're even
couldn't
more,
justify that.
depending on if you buy them on Gunbroker. Or depends what you want, I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't justify that. Oh my God.
Yeah, a good price on one would be somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 realistically. Can you go
Easily.
cheaper and go with, like Eagle Imports, Pantera, or something like that? You can, but I have seen some issues with those. I'm not trying to naysay those guys or anything else. I'm just saying, you can get into some of the STIs for a little more than that. 3 plushes somewhere in there, but because Mike just bought another one, Rick. I don't know if you know that, but he picked up one for 3 even, and it was a DVC open, and that was a good deal on it because it came with an optic and all because he shoots open. So they're out there, but yeah, you're going to pay that kind of money for one.
I'll tell you one fire I'm really looking forward to is that I know you don't get into much the PSA there, but I'm really looking forward to that PSA Jackal that's coming out, 5.56. I'm really interested in that. I can't wait for that to come out.
A couple SHOT Show videos, yours, and a few others during SHOT Show, and that actually looks pretty cool.
I mean, it's a monolithic upper, free float, it's adjustable 3-positional gas, forward non-reciprocating side charger, uses any AR lower, ambidextrous controls. The side charging is swappable for left to right. What else? I mean, it just goes on and on. I'm just going to guess on this, but the upper on that Jackal, you're probably going to be able to get for, I don't know, probably $500. I'm going to guess they're going to sell it as a complete firearm initially for roughly, I'm going to guess $800 to $900. I'm just totally winging numbers here, but
yeah,
that's one I'm definitely looking forward to.
So other than the side charger, it sounds like an LMT.
Yeah, I don't. Have you seen a picture of it?
I have not.
Yeah, definitely check it out. I mean, for the price, if it does everything it says and it's reasonably accurate, it's going to be they're going to knock it out of the park.
Yeah, there was some. I can't remember all.
Oh, bufferless too. I mean, there's no buffer in it. It's
a folding
stock.
Yeah, it's set up pretty sweet.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Gregory?
Thanks for showing up. So some of you guys may or may not know who the Elfster is. If you guys do any rifle shooting or any reloading, make sure you guys get over and check out his channel. Oh, the AKE. Yeah, I actually need it. I want to get it. Well, I want to get one good one, whether I go Arsenal or whatever.
You don't really get into AKs much, do you there, Ray?
No. He don't even like them.
No. I used to have a milled AK, Arsenal AK, and it was actually amazingly accurate. But yeah, PSA for what they're coming out with right now, especially like that AKE that has a cold hammer forge FM barrel.
Yeah,
nickel coated bolt. They have the 4340 trunnion on it. And you can get them for $8.99, I think. It's a lot of AK for the money, and the one I'm really looking forward to though from PSA is the 5.56. The fact that I can reload for that thing ultra dirt cheap, pull some Lake City brass, reload for it. It's got last round bolt hold. Believe it or not, for an AK, it has an adjustable gas block on it. It's awesome, and I can't. Those are the main 2 firearms that I'm looking forward to in 2020, and that is that Jackal and the 5.56 PSA AK. So,
yeah, but you're taking the best thing about the AK and putting it on. No, how would you even say that?
Heck, it even has last round bolt hold.
But it's an AK that shoots 5.56, right?
Yep, shoots 5.56, last round bull hole, adjustable gas. I mean, I love
Are
the
you gonna
AKs,
do-
and I love the heritage of them. I just like to see how much accuracy I can squeeze out of an AK, and I just enjoy that myself. I know some guys don't, but at least for me, I just enjoy the heritage. Just like the the AKV, and I think you guys both did a video on those recently on the AKV. I just love that heritage in regards to the AK. So
I don't know. I think if I could own any gun that I've shot, it would be that Scorpion Evo A3,
Yep.
A1,
Evo 3 A1.
A3A1,
Evo 3 A1.
Evo 3A.
that had the can with it that you did that video on,
Yeah,
right?
that thing is
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, that thing was insanely awesome.
And I could care. No, so now, what would that gun be called if it wasn't full auto, but with this
It would be an Evo 3 S1 for the
S-
semi-automatic. Yeah, and Tim says I'm oddly silent tonight. Well, we have Todd on here, and I've got a lot of respect for Todd. You know, Todd and I, we did a chat with Hank Strange one night, so I'm letting him get a lot of time in, and he's got a lot of knowledge as well. So, yeah, I'm just kind of listening, taking it in. That's all.
Yeah.
No, I'll just go ahead and say it. Rick knows it. I like all of guns. Okay, if I didn't like all guns, I surely wouldn't review that life card twice. Okay, because Rick can't stand that thing. I think it's cool just because it is a firearm, you know. And my analogy to this is guys, do you remember they had those little pins that shot the 22? You could break them down. Company started with an E, I think. It was like Elfman. I think it was Elfman, but not Elfman like in the triggers. You know, if you'd have bought a couple of those things bring like $700-800 now. I mean, it's insane. That life card, am I ever going to carry it and use it? Absolutely not. But it's a cool video, and it's a neat. I'm all about the engineering and the people trying to be innovative about stuff, and so it's kind of cool. But I like all guns, but I'm not a huge fan of the AKs, just because. And I've shot the arsenals. As a matter of fact, a good friend of ours, Rick knows, offered to sell me his arsenal that was like brand new in the box. And he made me a smoking deal on it, and it had a milled receiver. And I was just like, no, I've never had any luck with accuracy with them. I mean, they're okay, and I understand you got to look at it for not the accuracy, but the reliability and everything else.
Your average AK is a three minute of angle firearm.
Correct, and for me, I just don't own many 3 minute of angle firearms. I will tell you, I do know the platform very well. I have to work on AKs quite a bit. And believe it or not, I have more problems with machine gun AKs than any other platform I work on. And that is a fact. They go high order on you a lot, meaning you come off the trigger and they just keep firing. They are a pain. I've only reviewed a couple of them on the channel. I think I'm trying to think of that one, the AK-74U or something like that.
Yeah.
But I have to work on and maintain a lot of machine guns, and they're a pain in my butt. I don't care for them. That's just me, though. Maybe the semi-automatic versions are better than the full auto. I don't know.
Well, PSA's got an insane amount of AKs coming out. I mean, obviously they just came out with the AKE. They're coming out with the AK-74, which shoots the 5.45 by 39. They have the Krinkov coming out. That also, I believe, is the shorty version of the 74, and which also shoots the 5.45 by 39. They have that Spiker coming out. I mean, they have just an insane amount of AKs rolling out in 2020, is supposedly what they say. But
yeah,
that Jackal, like 45 Auto is just mentioning here, that's the one I'm really looking forward to, and I really hope they knock that out of the park, and it's really going to be all about accuracy for me.
When's it going to hit the streets? They want to know. Do you know?
I think when I was talking to them at SHOT Show, they were thinking third quarter, but who knows what's happening now with COVID BS going on. It could very be next year. I mean, hell, they were supposed to come out with that PSA 5.
The MP5 clone. I mean, that thing was supposed to have been out years ago, right?
That was supposed to be out last year. And when I went to the PSA Media Days event and I talked to Christopher Vermillion, he was saying it's going to be $1,200. It's going to be $1,200, and it's going to be out X, right after SHOT Show. Well, it's right after SHOT Show, and now they're saying it's not going to be $1,200. They didn't say it was. I asked them, "Is it be $1,200?" I don't think it's going to, but it's probably going to be well south of any other MP5 clone that's out there. The Zenith, you're probably looking at about $2,000, I think. The SP5 that just came out, I think that's what, 2,500-ish, maybe 2,300 street value.
Yeah.
If they can come in on that PSA 5 at roughly $1,500, it should be they should knock it out of the park. And they have two options coming out, actually. They have one that has a welded Picatinny rail on the top, which I know some of the truists don't like that, but they do have an option where you can get a claw style mount, and they are going to have that with a more traditional folding stock option. So I believe initially they're coming out with the shorty, and then they're eventually going to come out with an 8.5 inch, I believe. I'm not positive on that, but that's kind of the rumor mill that's happening. But
I mean, Todd, you can answer this, but
about it for so damn long now.
What I was going to say is you deal a lot with PSA. Rick and I do not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do they have too many irons in the fire or what? Because like that AKV, okay, so I borrowed Mullally's and we reviewed it. We had a good time with it. And they did a Gen 1 that had problems with it and it went away. And then John brought his out to the farm. We shot it. They're never available. I mean, it's like not because they're selling them out. They're just not releasing them from what I've been told.
No,
it's like it's not out.
Buy anything from PSA, and I'm actually affiliate of PSA, so just
yeah.
Clear on this. If you want to buy anything from PSA, 3 to 4 o'clock Central Time, if you want to buy anything, they literally, when they pump out, for example, 30 AKVs, that's what they put up on the boards later that night to sell. And they sell instantly.
Okay.
And, I know you're mentioning originally with the AKV, they came out with the Gen 1, which didn't have the Mac bracket in it. Military Arms did a review of it, and the brass was getting behind the bolt. So they put this new special welded in brackets, and that can't happen. That's where the Mac bracket, Military Arms Channel Mac, that came from. But now you can get AKVs. Right now, they're selling like hotcakes because of what's going on. But if you better have your FFL information and your credit card information ready to rock and roll between 3 and 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you have a very good chance of getting that. Even something like the AKE that just came out. Those come out, doesn't seem like every weekday, about every other weekday, it seems like, maybe every third weekday, those AKEs are coming out and they're available. And it's the same thing, 3 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. You better have your login information done, and you better have your credit card in hand with expiration date and your FFL where you're going to ship it to. You have a very good chance of getting that. But, like you said, PSA has so many irons in the fire because they're coming out with that, the Gen 3-ish Glock style dagger pistol that's coming out. It's very Gen 3-ish. Matter of fact, I believe Glock let the Gen 3 hat run out, and they actually picked up the ball on that. And they have that dagger coming out from PSA. It's interchangeable with Gen 3 parts. The entry level is coming out for $299, but they have one that has suppressor sight heights. Suppressor height sights with a
there you
barrel. I said that 5 times fast. For $349, which is insane. It's just nuts. But they got the PSA 5, the Jackal, the Dagger, probably 6 new AKs coming out. And you're exactly right, Ray. I mean, holy smokes, they got so many irons in the fire. I'll be amazed if they can get them all out in 2020.
Yeah,
especially with what's going on right now. So,
yeah,
quality control.
But I know those guys at PSA fairly well, and actually went on their factory tour, not only in the PSA Dunbar facility where they actually put all those parts together and manufacture your actual firearms. They are an amazing group of people. they are your neighbors, and they really truly believe in their product, and they employ an insane amount of Americans and pumping out a ton of freedom. But it's not only the Dunbar facility, but they also have the the Ferris. They have DC Machine. They're just not Palmetto State Armory, and they
Yeah.
pump out an insane amount of uppers and lowers and you name it. They sell to a lot of people that you'd be surprised if they actually sell to. So
Yeah, didn't they? I know they're tied in or bought out Leadstar.
yep. So Derek Hicks with Leadstar. Matter of fact, Derek Hicks with Leadstar is a very intelligent engineer, and he actually picked up the ball on the tail end of the AKV when the initial rollout didn't go so smoothly. He kind of picked up the ball in regards to the engineering and helped develop with that Mac bracket. But Derek Hick is also working on that PSA 5 right now too. So they say it's going to be released this year. So I'm really looking forward to it. And there's a lot of really cool features on there, especially like the A2 front sight, the welded Picatinny rail, so you can just slap on a red dot and go. You don't have to use a claw style Picatinny rail. It's not going to have the diopter rear sight. It's going to be more of a pistol rear sight. But it has a mag-pull lower with ambidextrous controls, a paddle release for the magazine, also side release for the magazine, and it has SB brace on it too. So hopefully, if they can get that under, I'm guessing $1,400 to $1,500, they should knock that out of the park. Hopefully, so.
All right, well, we are at that 1.5 hour mark, and my sand through the hourglass is in.
I am on my second one.
You know when nice T rolls out.
I need a reload. If you guys want to keep rocking, we can. I just gotta.
I'm going to have to get off because the girls are giving me a hard time about killing the bandwidth because they can't get on Netflix. So.
All right.
Well, thank you for having me on there, my friend.
No problem. If you guys get a chance, get over to
Pleasure.
Rifle and Reloading, and also check out X-Ring if you're not familiar. And we will see you guys on another bat time, another bat
channel.
Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.